Right, sorry about sending you a bit skew-if at the end of that last video. We're down onto our third video now. What I should have said as well, before I decorate or look through the pages, I also tend to choose the ribbon that I'm going to use at this stage. And I've only really got yellow. I haven't got any of this orange, but I've got this yellow sort of variegated sari silk. I've got some white lace and I've got some crinkle seam binding in toning colours, not contrast colours. Might consider using a bit of contrast. I'm still thinking about that. And at this point, I don't really know what I'm going to use where. It's just, it's there, ready. So I sort that out. If you can see this, you can see that I've taken the bulky page out. I replaced it with just some tea stain paper. So the next thing I do before I decorate the pages is I go through and crease them thoroughly. I can't remember, I'm really sorry, it's a little while since I did the other video if I showed you this before, but I crease each one thoroughly. I don't think I have done this yet because they don't feel as if they've been done. And when I'm doing this, I'm also checking to make sure that the fold is secure. And by that I mean that the paper's not too thin or too brittle and might need reinforcing. So this is a good example. On this one, this is an old Atlas paper and it is just cracking a little bit. So I'm just going to reinforce that with some masking tape. In this case, you can use washi. I always add some glue as well, just because it hopefully will help it stick for longer. Oh, I can't find the end. There it is. So that's just down there. You can do it on the outside or the inside. Oops. And then just crease that again. Burnish it to make sure it all goes down. And we've also on this one got a crease here where I folded it, so I'm going to do the same there. Just cut those bits off. Creased it a bit at the bottom, but doesn't matter too much. So put that over. I've got it on relatively straight, so that's not too bad. So that would be a good example of strengthening a page. So if you're following along with me, just get your pages, go through them, crease, burnish the crease line, and then we'll come back and start decorating. Okay, so we are ready to start decorating our pages. And I do a fair bit of this before I sew it into the cover. I've also picked out, I'm going to try and incorporate this page somehow or other, maybe even if I just clip it in the back. So I've kept that. I've done a few fussy cut pieces, which I will be using, I think. Well, I'll be using those. And I've also cut out a few or torn out a few bits and bobs that I might or might not use for pockets or tags or whatever. But probably those will get added to along the way. This is going to be quite a full, eclectic journal style. So not a huge amount of writing space. And in this instance, I don't normally do this, but because I'm videoing, I have gone through and marked what I'm going to do on each page. So we've got a pocket, I'm going to put a lace edge here, tab, pocket, another pocket, a bow, masking paper, a stencil. Some of this we can do after it's sewn in, most of it before. Another pocket. This is where one of those fussy cuts will go. I will definitely do that after. So after we've sewn it in, but that's to remind me. I've done this to try and I suppose speed up my process a bit, although I will be chopping out of this video quite a lot while I think about what I'm going to do, and then the same in the second half. So I generally try and have similar things in each half of this signature, and normally the same or a very similar amount of pockets. So this is our first page. I probably will do something at the top here, some kind of snippet maybe, collage, but for now I'm just going to concentrate on the pockets. So I will go away, think about what I'm going to do with this, and then come back. Oh, probably what I should say, the other reason I do this is so that anything that I stitch or want to stamp or stencil is easier to do. Okay, so I often start off by just using scraps on my desk. So I've got these scraps here. This is some book page. We could use either side. I think I'll use the number side. The top is quite delicate, so I want to reinforce it, and I want to reinforce the whole thing. I've measured the pocket, the width of this page, but I measure to a little bit inside the fold. When your journal is full and folding up, you don't want your pockets to be right up to the fold line. So the measurement that I'm using for this pocket is from that edge to about here, which is 4 1/4, and I've cut this to 4 3/4 because I'm going to fold the edges in, which I shall do now. So I basically just want 1/4 inch on either side. Be one edge, that'll be the other one. So those are what I'll actually glue down onto there, and I don't usually bother doing a tab at the bottom. I'll just glue that straight. You'll see how that works. And then to reinforce the whole thing, I'm going to glue this along the top, and then fold it under. So let's do that. I think this might get quite dull watching me do this kind of work, really, but we'll see how it goes. Okay, so I'll just cut this piece off. I'm just going to taper it in slightly. And then I'm folding this just to give my pocket a double thickness. Try and take the lid off, and I haven't put the lid back on. The bottom isn't quite straight, so I'm just going to cut this off straight. I've made the depth of the pocket about 3 inches. Still not straight. Could be that the book page isn't printed straight, but nip that up there just to taper it. Okay, the other thing I'm going to do is stitch this before I stick it in. You probably know, if you know me, I do a lot of stitching in my journals, and it's something I really like, but it's not compulsory. Things still look nice without it. I think this pocket also needs a bit of decoration. I could do that later, but I'm thinking I might just pop this on. The problem with doing it later is it can mess your stitching up a bit, so let's pop it on first. We'll use a Tracy label to finish that off. See what we've got in here. All might work. I'll try not to get too fussy about all of this. See, I put the lid back on. This videoing is not as easy as it, I don't know if it seems easy actually, but it's not easy. I'm trying to do this at the same time. I obviously can't stitch that until the glue has dried, so I'm going to stitch it in a few moments. I will come back and show you how I glue it in. And sorry, I twisted you again. It's when I pull this thing off, I need to be careful of that. Okay, sorry for twisting you around like that. I'll try and be more careful. I'm a very, very low-tech video maker. So I've zigzagged across the top, straight stitch around, and now I'm just going to stick this in. And the way I do that is just with some wet glue. I'm using something, it's just PVA actually. And then the bottom, I just go along the whole of the bottom, and those little flaps will stick down onto that. Pop that in. This is the glue I'm using at the moment, quick dry tacky glue, but I've decanted it into this little bottle with a what do they call this? Needle nose, I think. So that's our first pocket done. It sits quite nicely opposite that page, and I have no idea yet what I'm going to put in there, but it will be something that sticks up above here so that we've got various layers of interest when you're looking at the journal. So the next thing that I can show you is a lace edge. And the way I do that, I do stitch it in, but I always glue it first. So I need a bit of lace, cut it a bit longer than what we need. To take this out, this page. And I'm basically going to put, I want it just to stick out a little bit from the cover. And I've used this lace before, so I know roughly where to do this. So I've got a line of glue about 1/4 inch in Obviously that'll vary depending on your lace, how much you want it to stick out. Being reasonably generous with this. And then I'm just going to lay that on there. Try not to move it too much. And when that's dry, I will zigzag down there. There is another way to do it. If you want, if you don't want your zigzag to show on the other side, and I can see I've got a lace edge on this side as well, so we might as well do both together. The other way you can do it is to cut a very thin strip of paper. Glue our lace onto this, stitch it, and then glue that into the book. I'm not too worried about the stitching showing on the other side, so I'm just going to do it this way. But that paper strip is really good. It's really good for ruffles, actually, if you're making ruffles. So let's do the other one on this page while we're at it. I think I've got 3 lace edges in this book, but I'm not going to look for the other one. I'll do that when I get to it. So we'll let those dry and then we'll stitch those and then we'll be back. Okay, so I'm back. I've stitched in these lace pieces. I don't think it looks to you like I've been away, but anyway, and you can see that they just poke out quite nicely. I have trimmed them off top and bottom. My journals tend to be quite neat rather than too shabby. That's just the way I work. These pages are quite bare at the moment. I doubt whether I'll leave them like that. On these particular eclectic journals, I like something of every page, and it might just be, you know, something just small like that. But again, I'll probably decide that later on. So this is our next pocket, and this is going to be a lengthwise pocket. I was going to use yellow, but then I decided I was being a bit heavy on the yellow, so the opposite colour for yellow on the colour wheel is violet, or a bluey violet, so either of these will work quite well. So I've torn this page out of an adult colouring book, and I've folded it here just because I want a reinforced edge, and this pocket is going to sit down this side, and I want it to be 2 inches or about 2 inches wide. So I'm just leaning over there to my guillotine. So this is going to go down here. So we need to cut the bottom off as well. Try not to bodge you this time. And I'm going to do this very similarly to how I did the other one, except I'm not going to bother with tabs on this one. With a lengthways pocket, anything I want to fit in there will be fine. So the decision now is to whether to add anything to it, and I probably will. maybe just a bit of collage at the bottom. So I've got this machinery handbook, which has got, it's full of small writing, diagrams, all sorts. Really, really useful for collage. That was gifted to me by a friend locally who doesn't junk journal, but kind of gets what I'm about. Well, definitely gets what I'm about. I've known her for a very long time. So I'm just going to glue that along the bottom there. Probably put a label on it as well, and then I'm going to stitch this zigzag up here, straight stitch around the edges, and I'm going to glue it in here. I'm also going to make a tab for up here. Trouble is I haven't thought about that, so bear with me for a few minutes. Okay, so here's our pocket, ready to stitch in. I also decided that I'm going to put some fabric tabs in this journal, and I'm sort of auditioning them here just to see what they look like, and they look fine. I've got one in blue. Well, the other thing, I've managed to delve a bit deeper into my scraps. I've got some sari silk scraps, and I've managed to find a little bit of this sort of bluey violet, which is brilliant. If I hadn't have found that, I had some fabric which is a little bit intense in colour but would have sufficed. You could always paint paper, and you do paper tabs. Just a strip folded over is fine. So let's get this sorted. So I'm going to take these 2 pages out. Just so that I can show you the way I manage this. So this is going to go on this page, and again I'm going to glue it away, about 1/8 of an inch away from the edge of the sort of the fold line edge. So let's get this glued in. Sorry, you might see the top of my head, which is not a good look. Go with that one. And then for the tabs, I do want to sort of tack those in place because I don't want them to stick out any further really than I want the laces sticking out. So for the tabs, top just means top of the page. That was my note to myself. I'm just going to use a bit of glue stick. Both sides. And then I'm going to pop it back in here. Let's put it all back in properly. Just to check that that's not going to protrude too far, and it's not. But it does add a bit of colour in there, which I like. So again, I have to wait for that glue stick to dry, and then I shall zigzag, not all the way down. I'll probably just do a little bit like that on the tab page, and I'll do that in the same way for the other tabs as well. And I space them fairly evenly through the journal, so This is a couple of pages past the lace. I've got some lace in the middle. I'll probably do the second tab a few pages after that, and the same for the third one. So we're doing okay. So I'm going to finish this video here. Not sure how much of this I really kind of want to go through. It's just repeat the same things over and over really, but bear with me and I will be back certainly to show you how I've finished the pages off and how I sew it into the spine.